Well, staff here at Cadillac's factory were called together to hear the news of their driver announcement and greeted it with warm applause. They have signed two veterans, two experienced drivers in Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez, and what I understand are multi-year contracts, so they will be driving for this new team for at least the next couple of seasons. They both are race winners. In Valtteri Bottas's case, he has 10 victories to his name. Sergio Perez has 6. Against that, they've been out of Formula One competition for the last season, and leadership within this team are not entirely dismayed by that. They think both drivers have something to prove on their competitive return. Both have talked about how excited they are by this new project, and that they have already bought into, as they describe it, the spirit of the team. We expect Perez in particular to be able to visit the Cadillac factory in the next few weeks. Valtteri Bottas is still contracted to Mercedes as their third driver. The team say that they conducted a proper and thorough search to decide who should be driving for them next year. But ultimately, they are pleased to announce that they have gained their top 2 targets. And not least, in terms of Valtteri Bottas, we understand that other teams were interested in signing him as well, with Alpine particularly interested in exploring the prospect of him driving for them. But he has chosen to come here with Cadillac, and he and Perez will be quite a formidable pairing. Will they have the car to perform to the best of their abilities? That is a big question with what is a new outfit racing against time to produce a car ready for that first pre-season test in Jerez next year. But they say they are on target, and now we know who will be in that car.
It's amazing for the sport. F1 drivers react to return of Perez and Bottas for Cadillac in 2026. The current grid have reacted to the upcoming returns of Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez, with the pair set to partner at Cadillac in 2026 after a year out each. The F1 paddock has been reacting to the news that Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas will both return to the grid for Cadillac in 2026, with a number of drivers welcoming the announcement, as well as giving their take on the challenge ahead for the veteran racers. Amid months of speculation over who the new team would choose as their lineup for what will be their inaugural season in Formula One, it was confirmed on Tuesday that the squad have opted for Perez and Bottas in a pairing that brings with it a wealth of experience. One of the first to give their reaction during Thursday's media day at the Dutch Grand Prix was Max Verstappen, Perez's former teammate at Red Bull between 2021 and 2024. The world champion said, "When I saw the news come out, I sent a message to him. Of course, I'm very happy for him that he got a seat. He's a great guy and we always got along very well, so I'm happy to see him back on the grid. How he's going to perform, I think, will also depend on how good the car is going to be, so it's a bit difficult to say at the moment. But it's a new opportunity, and I'm sure he's very excited for it." Perez was left without a seat in 2025 following a difficult campaign with Red Bull last year, resulting in both parties agreeing to part ways with immediate effect at the end of the 2024 season. Pushed on whether he expects the Mexican to get back to his best at Cadillac, Verstappen responded, "It's a fresh start now." From his side, one half of a season, or a season doesn't define what you can do. I think he's also quite easy in his approach to that. Some people maybe dwell on it a bit more, but for Checo it's a new start, he'll be excited, and new cars also. And he has shown a lot of great things even before he got to Red Bull, and during the Red Bull times. He just needs to go in there, enjoy it again, and have a good time. With Perez having raced for the likes of McLaren and Force India prior to his Red Bull stint, Verstappen believes that this experience could prove valuable for the new Cadillac outfit. He has driven for a lot of different teams, so he knows a lot of things about how teams work, the Dutchman explained. Every single team works a little bit in a different way, so that's already, I think, a very interesting trait. that sometimes it's nice to understand what people are good at, or what some are worse at. That's how it goes. Another driver to understand the benefit of experience is Fernando Alonso, who echoed Verstappen's view when asked about Cadillac's decision to opt for that asset over youth. It brings for sure some good things in the way that you understand the cars, you understand the needs, said the Aston Martin driver. They both have been working with top teams, Valtteri and Mercedes, Checo and Red Bull, so they know the philosophy that you need to apply every weekend to stay at the top. I think for a new team, for sure, they bring some great experience and some great value. I'm happy for them, happy to welcome them again on the grid and have fun next year. Pierre Gasly, meanwhile, hailed the return of two unique personalities to the sport, with the Alpine racer commenting, "I think it's amazing for the sport. They are two amazing characters, very successful F1 drivers and being very much part of it over the last 10 years, getting race wins, fighting for podiums, and they are two unique characters in their personalities. I think it's great to have them both back in the paddock, and I'm sure they'll add good spice to the racing." Alex Albon, meanwhile, reflected on how much of a challenge returning after a year on the sidelines can be, having experienced this himself when he found himself back on the grid with Williams in 2022 following a season spent as a test and reserve driver for Red Bull. "I would say one of the benefits to my year, and I think also to Checo and Valtteri's year, is the regulation reset, so you don't get the drivers carrying the experience of the last few years in that car regulation, and then it's a bit more of a level playing field when you return," Albon conceded. "I don't know how involved they were in terms of keeping sharp and training and driving or whatnot. I remember in my year I was doing some Pirelli tests and doing a lot of simulator work, which definitely helped. We're in slightly different positions, because they have a lot of experience. So they could probably get away with not doing anything in their year off, but my year was a bit more spent on trying to learn and still make sure that I was as prepared as I could have been for my Williams seat. I don't think with their experience they've missed out on much, but I think they'll fall into things pretty quickly." The Cadillac Formula One team have signed Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas as drivers for their debut in the sport next season. The choice of two hugely experienced veterans for their initial lineup reflects the scale of the task facing Cadillac in 2026, as F1's 11th team begin from scratch and enter a highly competitive field. The Cadillac team are backed by the manufacturer General Motors in what is expected to be a long-term commitment to reaching the front of the grid, with both Perez and Bottas given multi-year contracts. They bring with them no little experience. The Mexican Perez has competed with 5 teams including, until the end of last